Gator Dave, welcome back, sir. Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm back. We'll call it that. We'll leave it there. Gator Dave is back, and we'll leave it there for now. Week 2 coming up for the 2024 regular season. In our fourth season together on College Pick'em Show, we're now Bets Utopia, your number one location for all things sports betting. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. So we pop to the top, and you catch us every single week as we move through. So if you're having trouble finding us, just Google Bet Utopia Sports Betting for now till we get to the top. So live shows Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Same time, same station as we are right here and now. First, I'm going to start by going ahead and eating my crow. Congrats to Miami Mike and his Hurricanes for taking us to the woodshed. They took us to the woodshed. Rough day in Gainesville. Jared and I were sitting back at the tailgate by the fourth quarter. So it's going to be a long year for my Gators. But we'll obviously talk more about that. Don't want to cry too much. Want to get down to business here.
No, you can keep crying. You can keep crying.
You like to cry, Mike? All right.
This is a safe space, Dave.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Mike. I really do. I'm glad it's safe here with all our friends and so forth. It's good to know. So the I think business here. When I said that you guys were going to win the ACC, it's kind of looking that way. Everybody else is kind of falling by the wayside, right? So no Florida State 0-2, and your friends in Clemson lost to the Dogs. So you guys are in the driver's seat. All right. If we look back at how we did over the last 2 weeks, again, Gator Dave not looking too hot. He's 2 games behind Miami Mike, 6-12 and 8-10. So I got some work to do in that regard as well to play a little catch up. So we'll see how that goes. So I think we should roll here, Mike. What do you think? You wanna start us off with the first game there, sir?
First game, we can do that. Let's see. So first game we got is UAB, correct?
We do. We got UAB Louisiana-Monroe.
All right, so UAB Louisiana-Monroe. So UAB is led by former Super Bowl winning quarterback Trent Dilfer, as we all know. Also, Elite Eight coach. Used to run that program for the quarterbacks in high school coming up, going into college. A couple quick things about this game. Louisiana-Monroe's quarterback probably has one of the best names in college football. It is General Booty. He threw for just 100 yards in last week's win versus Jackson State. Granted, they didn't really need to throw it all too much. They ran for over 200. But Jackson State gave them a game. They competed with them every quarter, scored with them every quarter. They definitely gave them a run for their money. Whereas UAB was up 28-3 at halftime against Alcorn State, ended up cruising to a 41-3 victory. They did have 3 turnovers, which is kind of concerning considering they were playing Alcorn State. You're not looking to have 3 turnovers, but it is the first game of the season, so you can also kind of expect that at the same time. UAB is 0-10. Here we go, Dave. Here's some numbers. Pay attention. UAB is 0-10 against the spread when coming off a straight-up win the last 2 years, Dave. 0-10 against the spread. They went 0-6 on the road in Trent Dilfer's first year last year, straight up. Didn't win a road game, Dave.
I know. Yeah.
That changes here. UAB. That changes here, Dave. UAB by a gazillion. I think they pound ULM and make a statement here. I think UAB gets up into the 40s. What say you, Dave?
All right. So, UAB, Alcorn State, 41-3. Their quarterback Zeno, 23 of 32, 15 yards, 2 DDs, and an interception, ran for 37. Blazers put up 513 yards, but only gave up 177. Granted, it's, Alcorn State, Louisiana-Monroe, a little bit better team, but they only gave up 177. Key stat there. Louisiana-Monroe, again, beat Jackson State 30-14. I don't even think they covered the spread. And I think Mike put this game on here because of the quarterback's name from Louisiana-Monroe. He wanted to hear that General Booty one more time, right?
Wow, now that needs to be clipped. Somebody get on that. Somebody get on that quick.
Yeah, where's Public House? So he only threw for 104 yards and only ran for 22. So I'm a little concerned there at QB for with our boy General Booty there. They only put up 336 and they gave up 286. So kind of a wash there. So the UAB, again, like Mike said, they lost all the road games. But UL Monroe only won 2 home games last year. So it's not like they got much of a home field advantage. So, boom, I'm going with Miami Mike here. Probably a good call, and say UAB by at least that 13.5, safe at 14. So that's what I got, Mike.
I like it, Dave. I like
that's
that.
What
I like that pick.
Well, next up we got Central Michigan, the mighty Chippewas, and my old friend the Shark Humper, and they are playing Florida International. So Central Michigan is -6, over/unders 51.5. Central Michigan beat the mighty Central Connecticut State. Okay, just want to get that straight. 66-10 last week. Joe Labas, the QB, 18-24, 342 and 3 touchdowns. So CMU put up 491 yards against mighty Connecticut State, and they gave up 285. Florida International played a real team. They played Indiana. Granted, it was Indiana, but they lost 31-7. Their QB, Keanu Jenkins, 20-29, 129. They put up 182 yards and gave up 414. They got sacked 4 times. It was a rough day for Mr. Jenkins. I think Central Michigan's going to put up some serious points in this game because I don't see FIU have much defense. So give me the Chippewas to win here by at least a touchdown and cover that 6.5, Mike. What do you think?
Your man, Jim McElwain, making his way back into your arms, Dave.
The Shark Humper. The Shark Humper.
All right, so I just got some quick numbers that I just want to throw out there. So Cincinnati has won 5 of their last 6 versus Pitt, or no, I'm sorry, I got my notes mixed up. Getting ahead of myself. Michigan returns their top 2 leading receivers, or top 2 leading rushers from last year, and top 5 receivers from last year's team. So they're coming back experienced on offense. They got very experienced O-line. FIU is 3-6-1 in their last 10 home openers against the spread. Central Michigan was 4-2 against. Look to continue here. I think Central Michigan handles this pretty easily. So give me Central Michigan to cover the 6.5 for sure.
Cool. Hey, shout out to our boys in the chat. We got Scott Crawford, Ian Gleason, and Monty Welshons giving us a shout out. Hello, guys, and got something to say. Plop it in the chat, baby. And, of course, it was Miami Mike picked all these games, didn't he? All right. What you got on the next game, Mike?
You had a couple. There were a couple ones. You know what I'm saying?
I did. I probably had.
Trying to throw me under the bus. What are we doing here,
6.
dude?
Probably had 6,
doing?
man. We're jumping on you, Mike. Hey, I lost the game, but, now my boys are fighting here, so.
All right, whatever. Anyway, so next game we're talking here is Texas State and UTSA. UTSA is coming into this one as the underdog, believe it or not. Texas State has the quarterback, Jordan McLeod, that came over from James Madison. Kind of a rough start last week. Didn't really perform the way that people thought they would, especially that offense. Kind kind of definitely looked like they had some transfers coming in, a little mixing, matching, trying to make things happen. They ended up getting that win though, so they survived. You look at the Roadrunners; they kind of exactly are who you think they are when it comes to this team. Their quarterback Trailer, their head coach Trailer, absolute stud of a coach. He's been nothing but consistent since he's taken over there at UTSA. I think that's going to continue. However, Dave, I think Jordan McLeod wakes up. I think Texas State unlocked something in that game that now they kind of know what works. They know what doesn't. They was kind of that OC, kind of get used to the guy, feeling him out, and vice versa. You look at that over-under at 63. It's going to be an absolute shootout. This is going to be one that you're going to want to watch on Saturday, so definitely tune in. Give me Texas State, Dave. What say you?
I like that one, Mike. I like that one. That if I was picking there, I'd be right there with you. Like it. So, UTSA beat our friends around the corner at Kennesaw State 28-16 last week. Their QB McCown threw up 28-38, 340 yards and 3 TDs. They put up 416 on KSU. KSU put up 253. So Texas State beat Lamar by just a touchdown last week. They did put up 486 yards to Lamar's 288 yards. So here's the deal. The two offenses play really fast. Texas State averaged 23.1 seconds per play, like 15th in the FBS, while UTSA averaged 23.5 seconds per play, 20th in the FBS. You get where I'm going, right? Both defenses stink, sit outside the top 100. So just like Mike said, this one's going to be up and down, up and down, up and down, and lots of points. So I'm going the over in this one, the over 63.5 in this game, Mike.
Yep, I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. I just want to say, I see the comments in the chat. Shout out to Monty. You heard I was a class act. You're damn right, Monty. You're damn right.
He was. He didn't rub my nose.
I gotta tell you. It was pretty quiet. It was pretty quiet in that stadium. It was
quiet in the stadium. It was pretty quiet.
It was loud where I was, but you could just, you could tell from the overall ambiance.
Yeah.
It was a hush.
Mike was a true friend. He kept his mouth shut and didn't rub our faces in it. So that's
you were also my ride back, so I had to.
Yeah, you didn't have a choice. I could have just left.
Big brain thinking, Dave. Big brain thinking here.
True that. All right, our next game is the Marshall. Aren't they the Thundering Herd, Mike?
I believe so, Dave.
Yes, they are. And they're playing Virginia Tech Hokies. So Virginia Tech is minus 20 here, and the over-under is 51.5. So Marshall beat Stony Brook 45-3 last week. Braylon Braxton, their QB, only 7 of 11 for 141 yards and 2 TDs. But they used 3 quarterbacks in that game. They used Braxton, Earl, and you'll recognize this name, Mike, Pennington. Remember Pennington probably when you were in elementary school? Chad Pennington
he was a Dolphin.
His dad, he went to NFL. So so he was third quarterback in that game. So they're still trying to find their way because that, they jettisoned the quarterback from last year. They put up 549 yards and gave up 252. So Tech lost to Vanderbilt. Been there, done that, Mike, a couple of years ago. They lost 34-27. Kyron Drones, he was 22 of 33 for 322. Not too bad. 2 TDs, had an interception. Tech put up 397, gave up 371. But Tech got sacked 4 times, so that defense for Vanderbilt was pretty tough. Tempo-wise here, so Virginia Tech wants to play fast. Last year, they were fast-moving offense. They were at 22.3 seconds per play on Saturday. 5 seconds faster than they were last year. So they're running and gunning in terms of Virginia Tech. Marshall's offense ranked 39th in seconds per play as well. So, again, I think this one's going to be an up and down, lots of scores. So I'm going to go the over because it's 51.5, Mike. So I think it's pretty easy to hit. So give me the over in this game. What about you?
All right. This is one that I just could not come to terms with. This one gave me nightmares. I stayed up. I could not find something one way or another. And then I did, Dave. And then I did. Are you ready for it? All right. Yeah. I dug deep. Okay? The current DC at Marshall in his second year, former defensive coordinator at Valdosta State. Shout out to our guy Scott in the chat. You see him right there. He's vocal. Had to shout out Scott in Valdosta State. He won a ring with him, Dave. He won a ring with the Blazers. Go, Scott, go. All right? He's also on the NFL Weekly Pick'em show with me after our show tonight. So tune in to tell Scott, go, Scott, go. Anywho, Virginia Tech, they've won this. That was my dig deep. This one's not so much of a dig deep.
It's real deep.
This is like a shell right on top of the sand, okay? Virginia Tech has won their last 8 home openers in a row. They've covered their last 4 home openers in a row. However, they are just 5-15 against the spread versus non-conference opponents since 2019. And Brent Pry is looking like a lost sheep without a shepherd right now. So I am going to stick to my guns. We are Marshall, baby. Give me Marshall. Yes. Give me the points.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
All right. Yes. We are Marshall. You go,
We are
Mike.
Marshall. Let's go. Give me the points. I really hope it gets
it.
up over that. I'd give me a half a point. Half a point, and I'm feeling confident.
Yeah.
I'm feeling confident. However,
stick with my over
Virginia Tech, I don't know if you watched the game highlights of that Vatek Vandy game last week. Virginia Tech looked very good in the second half.
Yeah.
Very good in the second half. So,
all right.
We are Marshall. Let's go.
We are Marshall.
All right.
Next game, you do it. Pittsburgh, Cincy.
All right, so we got Pittsburgh, Cincy. You got Narduzzi taking on Scott Satterfield and the Bearcats. Those are the head coaches' names, by the way. Both teams look great. Offenses looked pretty stout in their first games. Pitt, I believe, played Kent State, handled them. Cincinnati played Towson, an FCS school. Struggled a little bit, Gator Dave. Well, struggled sort of. Scoreboard kind of plays some tricks on you here. So they were dominating after the first quarter. And then that defense. Just couldn't get the stops. Towson crept back. Towson ended up putting over 200 yards rushing on old Cincinnati. That is not a formula for success. I got some numbers for you here, Dave. Pittsburgh was 0-5 straight up and against the spread last year on the road. Cincinnati, under Scott Satterfield, is just 1-6 straight up at home last year, and in the 4 games that they've been favorites, 1-3 against the spread. So something's got to give there between the two, because obviously those numbers clash up, right? I think it's going to be Pittsburgh. Cincinnati, if you look at the stats they did put up against Towson, there was a lot of chunk plays. They had a couple of receivers. One guy caught a pass for 42 yards, another for 48, another for 38, and another for 61. Kind of inflated stats, and again, going against Towson. You would expect big chunk plays. Not going to get those against Pittsburgh. Not against this Narduzzi defense. He's going to be ready for him. Also, this number's kind of creeped up and down. It's teetered a little bit around 3, around 1. So it'll be interesting to see where it ends up. But to me, I think this is Pittsburgh in this game. What say you here, Dave?
Yeah, I kind of thought you'd go there, Mike.
No, you didn't.
Yeah,
don't lie to the people like that.
You're an ACC guy. So, Pitt.
ACC. They were chanting that in your stadium. I want you to know. I just want to throw that out there. They were chanting ACC. Mike,
I didn't hear it, so it doesn't count. Bada bing. So Pittsburgh beat Kent State 55-24 last week. Their QB Holston was 20th 40, 336, 3 TDs, interception. They put up 570 yards and only gave up 212. Like you said, they got their good defense there with Mr. Narduzzi. And Townsend, 38-20. Their QB put up 383 yards and 2 TDs, amassed 658 yards of offense, but gave up 438 yards to Towson State. So not feeling that on that defense there.
Not great.
Not at all. So, which tells me Pittsburgh's going to score some points. I do think Cincy's got a good offense, and I think we got another shootout here, Mike. So, yes, I know it's hard to believe, but I am going for my third straight over.
Wow.
Give me over 62.5 points here, Mike, in a shootout there at Cincinnati.
Right on. I could definitely see it. I could definitely see it. That Cincy defense was rough.
Putrid.
Right. Moving on.
Georgia Tech, the only team in the nation 2-0. They are -2.5 at Syracuse, over under at 62. Tech won last week 35-12 over Georgia State. That's the downtown cross the 75-85, right? But they're 2-0. Haynes King 24-29 for 275, 2 TDs and an interception. Tech put up 499 against Georgia State, but they also gave up 360 yards. Syracuse beat Ohio University 38-22. They're now 1-0. They got the ex-Buckeye running the ship up there, Kyle McCord. He was 27 of 39 for 354 yards, 4 TDs and an interception. So Q's put up
look good,
480 yards, but they also gave up 436. So I'm sitting there going, damn, this is another damn over. But passing attack with the Orangemen's, it's going to be the best Tech seen all year, without a doubt, because McCord's for real. I mean, he's a good quarterback. As we've seen the last 2 weeks, however, Tech is good in the trenches. They're good on the O-line. They're good on D-line. I think that Tech's going to give McCord some issues. I don't think they're going to be quite ready for this Tech defense. And you know, they've got 2 games under their belt now, and they're playing well. And you know, Syracuse only got 1, so I'm going with the Jackets here and the money line, Mike. I know it's going to be tough up at Syracuse, but give me Georgia Tech to go 3-0. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Jackets in this spot. I think the difference is going to be their run game. You mentioned it. Syracuse defense didn't look great. Their offense did. Offense looked fantastic, but their defense kind of kept Ohio in that game a little bit last week, at least for a while. And I think Georgia Tech, you know, they look at that run game. You mentioned it in the trenches. They're stout. They're ready to go. They're clicking right now. They're playing with confidence. I don't see any problem with them going to the Dome and handling business here. So I'm with you. I like Georgia Tech money line this one.
Awesome. All right, there we go. Another agreement. Next game, Mike, Michigan State,
There,
Maryland.
I think there's a trend. There's a trend here tonight, Dave. Real
Yeah.
quick, I want to say shout out to Devontae. I see in the chat he said Kyron Jones is gonna get right. I hope so, man. They put him up on a real high pedestal with a lot of high expectations. So he's got some shoes to fill for sure. But that second half against Vandy, it seemed like they actually let him play a little bit, let him get a little bit loose, let him get a little more comfortable. He looked good in that second half. So
he had a
what
decent game.
Kyron we got this week.
22, 33 for 322 is pretty damn good, dude. So, yep.
Yeah, he got it right. All right. So we got Maryland and Michigan State. Do you want to take this one? You want to go ahead, Dave?
Yeah, so we got Maryland's favoring this one by 8.5. Over-under's 43.5. So Michigan State beat Florida Atlantic last week 16-10. It was a little tight. Aiden Childs, 10 of 24 for 114. Not quite what the doctor ordered. Spartans put up 293 yards, gave up 248 against Florida Atlantic. Maryland beat Connecticut 50-7. Billy Edwards, their QB, 311 yards, 20, 27, and 2 TDs. So he had a good game. But again, it was Connecticut, but probably not quite as good as Florida Atlantic. Maryland put up 629 yards of offense, but they gave up 310 to the Huskies. Sparty had to rely on the ground game to win last week. I think the Terps are a hell of a lot more balanced. They've had some success over the last couple years, and I think that's going to roll into this game enough to hold the line and be at home and to be able to beat this team by probably 10 points. So give me the Terps at minus 8.5, Mike.
Yep. Again, I agree. I think the Terps got this one in the bag. Michigan State just isn't there yet. They lost a lot of guys in the transfer portal when all that Mel Tucker stuff came down. Even before that came down, when they were losing, struggling, they still lost a lot of guys. It's going to take a second for Michigan State to kind of get back to what people remember, over the last 20 years or so. Maryland's just on a different trajectory right now. Big words here, Dave. Big words.
I know.
Like you mentioned, over 600 total yards last week against UConn. They did give up over 300, but a lot of that was kind of just junk stuff, throwing it up. Maryland handled UConn. So I think this is I feel good about this one. Might even be a Miami Mike lock, Dave.
Hey, all right. Is that a first, a Miami Mike lock? Damn, I like it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
All right, cool. So we hit the next one. Starting to get into bigger boy games here.
Now it's the money makers, Dave.
Yep, the big boy. So we got Boise State at Oregon. Oregon's minus 19.5, over under 6.5. So Boise State beat Georgia Southern last week, 56-45. The QB Maddox Madsen, 22-31, 280 yards, 1 TD, and an interception. So the Broncos had 651 yards, 371 on the ground. Machine. Isn't that didn't we talk about that running back?
And almost lost.
Yeah.
Lost. Georgia Southern gave them everything they could handle.
They gave up 461 yards. So, but Boise State had 90 yards in penalties. I looked at that one too. So, but that Ashton Gentney rushed for 267 yards and 6 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns. Damn.
If Boise State makes that 12 spot, look for him to be sitting in New York on Heisman night. That's all I'm saying.
Somebody might have picked Boise State to be the
I
the
remember
group of
that.
5
I'm
team.
just I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there.
All right, I like it. I like it. That kid's awesome. So Oregon beat Idaho. No, Utah. No. Oh, so they beat them 24-14 last week. A little scary for them. I mean, didn't quite cover the line there against Idaho.
No,
So
no,
Gabriel,
unfortunately not.
however, you look into the stats. Gabriel, 41 of 49 for 380 yards and 2 TDs.
And what was the score, Dave? What was the score of that game with those
They only
stats?
scored 24 points.
Yeah,
And
doesn't
and
make
he was
sense, right?
41 of 49. It doesn't add up.
How does that happen? How does
I
that happen?
don't know. I don't know. The math is not right. That's not that Memphis math I got. So they gave up only 217 yards, but they gave up 14 points and only won by 10. Again, Oregon's offense should be electric this season. I think they
100%.
had it was a wonky damn game against Idaho. It was a wonky game. So with that said, in this freaking Oregon offensive barrage, give me the Broncos to and give me them 19.5 points and give me them Broncos, Mike. That's a Gator
I'm
Day
with you.
block.
Oh, a lock
That's
on
a Gator
19
Day
and a
block.
half. That's all right. Well, I'm riding you. Pause. I'm riding with you, Dave. We're going Boise State plus 19 and a half. We're going with the Broncos. I'm all about it. Same thing. I did not like what I saw last week with Oregon at all. If I remember right, I think the spread was 45 when the game kicked off.
Probably.
And they won by 10, 24-14. With those stats, too, like you mentioned, Gabriel completing over 40 passes, almost 400 yards. I mean, how do you...
And Mike,
I don't know.
That one perplexed me so much. I looked at turnovers. I think they had one. I looked at, sacks and penalties. It wasn't that bad.
It didn't make sense. It didn't
What
make
the
sense.
hell?
It didn't make sense. I think Boise is going to be able to compete in this one. I think they're the real deal, at least on offense. That running back, you mentioned him, absolute stud. So I think they're going to give Oregon everything that they want and then some. But also look for Oregon to get on track. I mean, those stats, they don't lie. And generally, those types of numbers equal a lot of points. Like, that's a complete fluke of a thing. So that's something to consider here too. And I think that's ultimately why the number is still what it is at 19 and a half, because they're not falling for that eye candy of, last week of just 24-14 against Idaho. If you just looked at that score and based off that game off that alone, it's completely different than if you actually broke it down with the stats. Having said all that, I'm with you, Dave. Let's go Boise State. Let's get this covered. And maybe, Dave, an outright in Autzen. Maybe a little sprinkle on that.
Maybe. All right. Like it. All right, next game. We got a rivalry game already, Mike, in week 2. We got Iowa State and Iowa. We got Iowa at minus 2.5 points, the over-under at 35.5. And this is not a lot to go under this game. I would not bet the under in this game. Like everybody thinks that the under. I mean, it might be, but I would not. It wouldn't be a lock like it was most of last year on all the Iowa games. All right. So I got Iowa State beat North Dakota 21-3 last week. Rocco Betch was 20 of 26, 267 yards, 2 TDs. Cyclones put up 353 and gave up 295. Not too good against North Dakota. It was a very tight game, even in the yardage. They did struggle to slow down the run, and that's going to need to improve pretty dang quick because I was going to run the ball. Okay, I would beat Illinois State. 40-0 on Saturday. Cade McNamara back in the pack, 21, 31, 251, 3 TDs. Running back Caleb Johnson, 11 carries, 119 yards, and 1 touchdown. Iowa put up 492 and only gave up 189. Mike.
Good.
And they're playing at Iowa. Mike. Oh, God, I called the other one a Gator Dave Lock. I hate doing it two in a row, but I'm going to do it, Mike. Gator Dave Lock, Hawkeyes in the money line. Hawkeyes in the money line.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see how Iowa loses this ball game. They did something we haven't seen in years.
Yeah.
Years. Last week. It's been since 2021 since they scored over 30 like that. Scored over 40, same thing. Not only did they do that, but they
play those easy teams every year too. Damn.
I think they're not going to have any problem in this one with Iowa State. I'm with you. This is a lock. Take Iowa. I think they could probably cover the 2.5. I'm going to go money line on it just to get, the straight up on it. I don't think Iowa's going to have any problem with this. I think that they handle them pretty easily. Maybe like a 24-14, 28-10 kind of game. I could see it. So I'm with you on that over-under too. It's not the same trend that we were on last year with, under. So I'm with you, though. Go Hawkeyes. Let's do it.
Yep. I mean, new offensive coordinator, Cade McNamara.
It seems to be making a difference.
It seems to be making a difference. It's going to be huge, man. It's going to be huge. Big deal. I mean, a lot of people, I'm starting to see maybe Iowa could make it into the 12-team playoff, because their schedule's so easy, Mike. Because teams with easy schedules, they've kind of got an advantage.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. Miami started a pretty easy schedule, this past week when we played basically a cupcake. So you're right. I mean,
exactly.
It does make an advantage moving forward in the season, for sure.
Favored you won. All right.
For sure.
Next game still kind of out there in the middle of nowhere. Colorado, Nebraska. Nebraska's favored by 7.5. Another team that's got an easy damn schedule. Over-under's 59.
Extremely.
So, Colorado beat North Dakota State, baby. 31-26. Deion and his boys did it. They won. Shadir was 26 of 34, 445 yards, 4 TDs, and an interception. They put up 504 yards of offense, Mike. 504 yards. But they gave up 449 to an FCS school. Granted, a good one, but 449. Colorado has lost 15 of its last 17 road games. Keep that. Log it. Cornhuskers beat UTEP 40-7 last week. Freshman Dylan Raiola, 19-27, 238, 2 TDs. Not a bad week for the youngster. Nebraska put up 507 yards, gave up only 205 to UTEP. I think Nebraska is a more complete team on both sides. We talked about another team. I can't remember who it was, but it was Maryland that we talked about. But I think Nebraska is the same way. They're just complete. They got it more together. Granted, they don't have Shadir Sanders throwing for freaking 445 yards. But Colorado Buffaloes still look like dog doo-doo on the offensive line, and their defense ain't all that. Give me the Huskers and the 7.5 points, Mike. Boom.
Yeah, again, I unfortunately have to agree with you. I'm on it. I'm on Nebraska in this one, minus the 7.5. I think playing at home is going to be the big difference here. If they were playing at Colorado, I'd actually probably be on Colorado in this situation. I'd take those points. I think the home field advantage in Nebraska is going to make a difference. They're bought in to Matt Rule, trying to turn this program around. So they got full support, back ends, the red wave. They're going to have that place absolutely rocking. Night game for Colorado. It's going to be extremely loud. And the biggest problem with that is, you mentioned it, it's still that offensive line. They went and got a completely new offensive line through the transfer portal after they kind of threw them under the bus a little bit, got rid of those guys, got new ones, and still got problems. Still got problems. So, I mean, Shador fighting for his life. He's an unreal athlete. Travis Hunter is incredible. Incredible player, insane athletic ability. He's easily going to be the number one pick when he comes out. They are doing what they can with what they got. But I think Matt Rule, I think you're right. I think Matt Rule has Nebraska right there in pace with Colorado, maybe a little bit, further up as far as on track goes. So give me the Cornhuskers. I'm with you.
Yep. All right. Next game, going back to the home state, not the home team. We got University of Tennessee playing North Carolina State. So Tennessee is favored by 8. Over-under is 60.5. They're playing on a neutral field in Charlotte, North Carolina. So granted, it doesn't belong to either one, but it is in the state at which one team lives. So, all right. So the Vols beat Chattanooga 69-3 last week. Nico was 22 of 28, 314 yards, 3 TDs, 6 yards on the ground. The one thing interesting about this game is the defense stepped up. They were able to get a lot of stops with Chattanooga. I think that's gonna bode quite well for them. Dylan Sampson, huge game on the ground. He rushed for 12 times for 124 yards. So everybody was wondering who was going to be the running back for the Vols, and that's who it was. So pretty good game at 124 yards. Tennessee put up 718, Mike. 718 points on their friends from down there in Chattanooga. And they only gave up 227. Okay. While North Carolina State beat Western Carolina. However, they only won 28-31 in a close game and needed 21 points in the fourth quarter to win the game. So a little dicey for the Wolfpack. McCall was 26 of 40, 318 yards, 3 TDs, and interception. Their running back Waters had 20 carries, 123 yards, 2 TDs. Now, they got a wide receiver. He's pretty good. He's only a sophomore, too. Kevin Concepcion.
We talked about him a lot last year.
Yeah. Wasn't he the freshman of the year in ACC? So he caught 9 passes for 123 and 2 touchdowns. Kid can play for sure. So they got to watch out for him. NC State, they put up a 521, but they gave up 361. So pretty sloppy on both sides of the ball, in my opinion. 69 yards in penalties. NC State's defense had some struggles, obviously, defending the pass. And I don't think they're going to slow down the passing game here for the Vols. So give me the Vols to cover the 8 points there, Mike. Much as much chagrin there is.
Again, Dave, I'm with you. I am on Tennessee. Heupel's got this offense booming. Granted, like you said, it's against Chattanooga, but 700 yards is 700 yards. That's insane. And to have that 500-yard differential between offense and defense, that's incredible. The biggest thing for me is North Carolina State and Grayson McCall. They did not look good. They looked like a team that was not on the right page. Grayson McCall did not look like the guy that, was a potential first-round pick a couple years back with Coastal Carolina. I think it's because he cut his mullet. It's just my 2 cents. I think he lost his magic a little bit. But I don't know. He did not look like the caliber of quarterback that NC State thought they were getting when they signed this guy. So now, he's going against a much more physical defense in the Tennessee Vols. It's going to be a neutral site, so It's probably going to be like 70-30 Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee's going to show out for that. They're going to pack it. It's going to be a lot of orange. I think Tennessee's going to get it done. It's the quarterback play. You mentioned Nico for Tennessee. The dude is an absolute stud. He's consistent. I think he's going to have a big, big game in this one. Another 300-plus yardage game type thing. Look for Tennessee to win and get the cover. Probably like 31-17 kind of deals if I had to guess.
I agree totally. It's gonna be a good whooping. All right, we agreed there. Next game, last game.
Last game. Here we go.
The big game.
The biggest
SEC
one of the week.
versus
But can we just talk about real quick how the biggest game of the week, arguably, I mean, it's not an argument. It is the biggest game of the week. It's at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock.
No,
it's not. First game of the day.
Oh,
First
no,
game of the day.
not.
12 o'clock.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
it is. Biggest game of the day.
Oh,
12 o'clock.
I didn't even tell the crowd. We're kind of ahead of schedule here. I didn't even tell the crew where I am going on Saturday. I am not going to Gainesville.
This is the time. Okay. All right.
I am not going to Gainesville. I'm passing on the cake game that hopefully we can win.
I wonder why.
I am taking my wonderful
That'd be
wife
a depressing trip if you didn't.
to Athens, Georgia, to watch her Georgia Bulldogs and Ian's Georgia Bulldogs play on Saturday. So that game's
What a good husband.
I am. What can I say?
That's a thoughtful gentleman right there. I tell you. Yeah, take a bow, sir.
What can I say? It's 2 years I haven't gotten around to it, so I made it happen this year where I was in trouble. So all right. So the bad thing is that game's at 2 o'clock, and we're gonna be eating somewhere while watching this game. So okay. All right. Texas minus 7.5 against Michigan at home. Over under 44.5. Which kind of sucks because you kind of want this game to be running, gunning, and lots of points. But, with Michigan, it ain't going to be a high-scoring game, right? So last week, Texas beat Colorado State 52-0. They put up 545 yards, 333 pass, 190 on the ground. Yours was 20 of 27. And remember the running back I told you? Jarrett Gibson was the leading runner back, freshman out of the state of Florida. He 10 for 67, 1 TD. Not bad for a freshman. Last week, Michigan did not cover against Fresno State, and we both hit that one. Woo! They won 30-10. They put up only 269 yards of total offense and gave up 244 to Fresno State. Ouch. So the quarterback, Davis Warren, everybody thought orgy. Oh, orgy, not orgy. I'm sorry. But Davis Warren
getting us flagged on
started.
YouTube, Dave. What are you doing?
Davis Warren was 15 of 25 for only 113 yards, and they used orgy as a wildcat option. That's what they did there. So Khalil Mullins led the ground charge, 15 carries, 92 yards. Both these teams have a chance to go to the playoff. I'm not as up on the Michigan as I am on Texas. Again, a lot of folks were worried about C.J. Baxter not being in there, but I think this Jarrett Gibson kid's for real, guys. Give me the Longhorns to cover 7.5 points there, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great game. I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be one of those games that, it's a staple of the entire 2024 season that, when you look back on it, this is going to be one of those games. It's going to be a defensive battle. Shout out to Moose. We see you in the chat, dude. We got a Michigan fan there.
I know who Moose is. Moose is on the loose.
He's mentioning that, Michigan's defense is.
He loves blue, baby.
He's mentioning that there's going to be the best defense Texas will face, and they might be. But
no doubt.
I think Texas's defense is going to be pretty good too, and Michigan's going to have to go up against that, and I think that's going to be a tough task. I think if this game was later on in the day, I think Michigan would have more of an advantage. It's always that night feeling, those night games. It always plays into the home field a little bit more than those early games where, these guys wake up, an away game, they got the jitters, but they're able to get rid of it real quick. They don't have to, think about it all day long and hear about it. And I think that plays into Texas's hand. I see this game going 27 or 28-20 Texas. I think they find a way to get it done. Michigan will have some success on the ground game, that's for sure. Donovan Edwards is an absolute monster. Their defense is good. But I think Texas and Quinn Ewers, I think they're just on a different path right now. I think this is one of those years for them that they are going to make that playoff. They are going to compete in the SEC for that championship game and overall trophy. And that starts right here. They gotta win this one to kind of carry that momentum through the SEC schedule. So I like it here, Dave.
I mean, and you kind of look at Texas didn't lose a lot from last year. I mean, they still got the chunk of their team, and hats off to my buddy Moose, but they lost a lot. I mean, it was like they returned 3 or 4 from the 22. So it's just going to be tough.
This
and it's
team
it's early in the year too, which gelling as a new team, it's a lot harder.
100%. 100%.
So.
And like you're saying, with this team that came back for Texas, remember last year they went to Tuscaloosa and handled Alabama.
They did.
So, in terms of the big house and going to Michigan, I don't think that's as big of a factor as it may be for some other schools. I think, Sarkisian's going to have these boys ready. So, I like it.
Yep.
I know Monty. I know. He's fair weather. He as long as Bayou Billy is there, Dave's he's right there. He's right there. He's creeping towards. You see him. He's going to Athens now. You said after 2 years, Monty. After 2 years, our boy Dave is making his way.
No,
it's not. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. That's all I'm saying.
The Georgia Polo went to Goodwill already, guys. Come on.
The math is mathing.
No. I'm supporting my lovely wife, who's probably on the line right now. So, got to do it. I will not be wearing anything Georgia. She will, but I won't. All right. So, Mike, you want to talk about the 4 games we got on the slate, 4 of the 12 that we're going to be rolling out for next week?
Yeah, so before we go over the recap, we can do that. No, you got it, and I'll pull up the recap.
All right, so our first 4 we're going to look at for next week are 4 of the ones right now. Alabama, Wisconsin. Memphis, Florida State. Got to have that one because it's like my alma mater against Jared and his whole family's team at Florida State. And then we got Texas A&M at Florida, of which, we got to do that one, right? Because we saw the line, and the line on that one was only -3 for Texas A&M. And I'm like, wow. And then we're going to look at
Florida's going to win that game. Mark my words right now. I'm booking it. I'm going ahead and I'm telling you my pick for next week, folks. I'm telling you right now, there's a sneak peek as to what is to come. I am on the Florida Gators next week against Texas A&M in the Swamp. You heard it here first. So when they lose 58-3 and Billy Napier's fired that Monday, come talk your shit.
You heard it first.
That's right.
All right. So those are 4 of our 12, folks. We'll have more coming up. So, Mike, what you got, man?
Throwing up the recap now. It's a lot of orange. A lot of orange on this screen, Dave.
What does orange mean,
we agree on a lot. That means you and me are on the same pick for that game, and it's kind of scary. Usually when that happens, it either goes really good or really bad. So it's gonna be an interesting week for sure. We're both on UAB -13.5 against Louisiana-Monroe. We're both on Central Michigan -6.5 against Florida International. I am on Texas State money line against UTSA. You are on the over in that game. I am on Marshall against Va Tech. We are Marshall, baby. You're on the over in that one as well. And I'm on Pittsburgh against Cincinnati, and you're on the over in that one as well. And then we're just on the same page here. We're both with Georgia Tech over Syracuse. We're both on Maryland over Michigan State. We're both on Boise to get the cover in Oregon. We're both on Iowa against Iowa State. We both like Nebraska against Colorado. Tennessee against NC State. And last but not least, the game we just talked about, Texas and Michigan. We like Texas in that one. That is our recap. Also, I don't know if anyone noticed, there's a nice looking medal on my side of the screen here, Dave. I don't know if you happen to see that or not on your end, but it's right there. So after week 1, you don't have to look so much at this side. Don't worry about this side. Don't worry about that side. It's this side. This side that matters. Right here. Just stay right here. Anyway, just had to make sure I, pointed that out in case you missed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. We stayed under an hour, Dave. That's a fast show.
We did good. We did real good, and we appreciate, man, lots of folks on the line today.
For sure.
Some familiar faces, some new faces out there. Appreciate you guys being on, Moose and Monty and Ian and Devontae and Scott.
Evelyn, I saw you. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Yep. So we appreciate you guys being on, and great turnout. We look forward to great week 2 out there, Mike. So we appreciate everyone being on. So What do you got?
I got let's stay undefeated, Miami. Let's go ahead and let's keep this ball rolling here against Florida.
There you
A&M.
go. There you go.
No hiccups.
Florida
no
A&M.
hiccups. What? And you got Samford, right? You feel pretty confident against them? I hope.
No, I'm not confident against anybody, Mike. We are the Gators. We are the Gators. But go Gators!
Hey, there you go.
Mike.
We love to see it. All right,
See
y'all.
you
Thank you
guys.
for watching.